I'm Clare Hanrahan. I've been living in this area about 20 years, but I was raised in Memphis, Tennessee. Well, the ones I know clearly and remember best are my mother taking us. I was one of 9 children, and there was a crowd of us everywhere we went, and we would go down to the cobblestones along the bank of the Mississippi. It was a river very wide, and we had a high bluff to look out over the river. And it was is a very powerful river, and so it's got a lot of the Mississippi River itself. It shapes you because it's so big and it moves all the time, and there's so much traffic on it. And I would just go down there and sit and watch that, and it kind of shaped my own sense of what a good adventure would be. So one time I was much older, probably 35, had a child, a partner, and we built ourselves a little catamaran, 21-foot little catamaran in a backyard, side of the lot of the house we were staying in, and set that down in the river and headed south, headed downriver, and it was a great adventure. We got all the way to Pontchartrain, which is at the end of New Orleans. You know, like Pontchartrain. You know, being a New Orleans resident yourself, what a fine place that is. It's very shallow. We went through the locks, you know, where they go in, and we landed in Lake Pontchartrain. Very tiny boat, by the way. But it was a shallow lake and a storm brewed, and we had a bit of a mast problem where we had some real serious error with the wind breaking the mast. And we came up along the 19th Street Canal where the fishermen would bring in their fish. And they let us kind of pull up under there and fix the boat. And then we headed on across the Gulf and landed in Florida.
Wow.
So it was a grand adventure on the Mississippi, and I'm a writer, so I don't have photos for you, but I have photos and words. Well, we started out with just you know, wind in the sails and some paddles, and we got down to Baton Rouge, and really that's where the big traffic starts picking up, and we bought a little putt-putt motor. But you know, the barges were none too happy to see us there. But as we went our way, and we would pull up on the banks of the Mississippi for evening and tie up, or set a tent up on a sandbar. But there was a Frenchman swimming in a wetsuit the entire length of the Mississippi.
Wow.
So if we felt vulnerable in our little craft, and we were quite vulnerable. But you know, life is short, and seize your day and seize your adventures, because what's that river there for anyway but to carry you out? Part of that adventure was finally realizing, you know, what lay beyond the bend of that river in my hometown that I had sat up on the bluff and gazed out at for so long. And then around any bend of that river, you know, you could find a timelessness, because we were moving with the current and the winds, and because you're on a floodplain, there's not a lot of buildings and stuff in some areas and around some bends. You could have been in any century. So it was taking yourself out of time, putting yourself in a timelessness, in the river time or the natural world time, as opposed to the times of clocks. And that's what that's the gift of being out in nature, whether you're on a forest trail or down a river or on an ocean, climbing a mountain, is if you just put yourself outside of all of these technologies that govern our lives, that pace our lives, and just breathe in with the natural world. Something shifts in you. It shifted in me.